In this video, we're going to go over the 6.3 practice set solutions for compound inequalities. So for the first four, write the compound inequality represented by the following graphs. So we have two types of graphs here. We have and we have or. Number one's an and type because we're saying x is greater than or equal to negative 40 and less than 60. So we know it's less than 60 because there's an open circle, and we know it's greater than or equal to negative 40 because of the closed circle. Number two is an or. We're saying that x is less than negative 2 or x is greater than or equal to 5. In this case, we have the shading going away from each other, whereas in like number 1 and number 3, we have the shading, it looks like a segment going towards each other. Okay, solve the following compound inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. So number 5, 6, and 7 are all and type of compound inequalities. We're saying x minus 4 is greater than or equal to negative 5 and x minus 4 is less than or equal to 13. We can split this up into two separate inequalities and solve them. So the first one I broke up, we got x is greater than or equal to negative 1, and the second one, x is less than or equal to 17, and I graph that, and we see that the points go towards each other. Same with number 6, I can separate the compound inequality into two separate inequalities, solve for x, and then graph. So I got to label some of the points on the number line, find those points, shade everything in between because this is an and. Same for number 7. We're going to break this up into two inequalities. And this time we're going to end up dividing by a negative number on the last step. We have to be very careful when we multiply or divide by negatives because we have to flip the sign. We're going to end up dividing by a negative 5 on the second inequality as well. We have to flip the sign here. So when you're graphing these and you find that the arrows shade in the same direction, you've probably made a mistake. We should know that we get an and equation and everything is shaded in the middle of the 2 points. So 8 and 9 are also and equations. So let me speed up this so we can get to 10, which is an or equation. Okay, so number 10 is an or equation, which means the graphs are going to be shaded away from each other. Notice on this second part we have a fraction in front of x, and we can get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I make my graph, and I see that the points go away from each other. We're going to see more of these or equations for this next set. The only thing that you really need to be careful of is the flipping of the sign when we multiply or divide by a negative number. In this case, we should see all the graphs for the or going away from each other. If you end up graphing one where the points go in the same, the shading goes in the same direction, you've probably made a mistake. In number 12, we get another fraction in here. And remember, we can always clear the fractions by multiplying both sides by, in this case, 4 on the left equation and on the right equation by 5. I'm going to speed this up so we can get to the last word problem. You can pause this anytime you need to. Okay, the last one, number 23. To get a grade of B in her algebra class, Stacy must have an average greater than or equal to 80 and less than 90. So she received a grade of 92, 78, and 85. What does she need to get on her last test, the fourth test, in order to get the average between these values? So an average, I take the numbers, add them up, and divide by the total number that I have. So I have 4 test grades. I add those together and divide by 4. And that gives me the average. So I can take this compound inequality, break it up into 2 separate inequalities, and I can find the lower boundary, which in this case I end up getting is x is greater than or equal to 65, and the upper boundary, which would be x is less than 105. So those are the percentages for that test, that fourth test. In part B, I want to find what the average, what grade I would need in order for my average to be between greater than or equal to 70 and less than 80. So we've already done the 80 part. We know that's 65. And for the 70 part, that would be 25%. Part C is just saying, is it possible to get an A for the course here? No, because there's no way I can get greater than 105 on the test.